You know, every day in Keshet Eilon is very special day. Yes, but today it's really special day among the special day, because today I call this day the Colors Day, because we had masterclass at 2 o'clock with Olga Kaler, and now we have another masterclass with Ilya Kaler. So it's very, very special day for us to learn and to exchange opinions, and for students it's a remarkable day. So please welcome to our second masterclass, Ilya Kaler, outstanding violinist, pedagogue, friend, faculty of Keshet Eilon. We have our masterclass. Thank you very much, Ilya.
Good to be here. Спасибо, Ваня. Я тебе этого никогда не забуду. Simon. So please, all of you who are part of the program, or maybe you're not part of the program, think of the questions you might ask. So short time between two people who will perform for us today. Please think of what you might ask me. Any questions about music, about violin, about particular piece, about myself, anything, or after. I mean, we have limited amount of time, but still, don't just sit there and, you know, just watch it. Think, what sounds funny, what sounds strange. Maybe I say some things that may come out ambiguous or strange, or just running against what you've believed all your life and so forth, or last 3 or 4 years, yeah? Okay, great, looking forward. Wonderful violin playing, wonderful violin. Not just violin playing, but also understanding of the piece and so forth. And you're very free with instrument and great artistry and so forth. And I feel very uneasy about criticizing some things, but I must. That's part of my job description, you know. So what I will do now, I will make a general comment, or a couple of comments, and then we'll go to specific spots, and just I'll make some suggestions, and you might consider them, right? You quite a tall guy, I mean, standardly tall, but you have long arms. So what I noticed, that every time you go to the frog, you do what many violinists today do. You fold your arm. What I like the expression, fold your arm. You go, you go. Now, it's possible to manage that kind of arrangement. The problem with it is that sometimes you either lose sound or you produce too much sound. Because at the moment when you close your arm, which sometimes is necessary, mostly when we play détaché, you lose the weight of the arm. So you either sound too weak at the frog, or you produce too much of a bulk of sound. It's a general comment. So I'll show you on specific spots what happens. Can we start right from da-da-dim, da-da-dam, pa-pa-pim? It's problematic to mention the name of Wagner, but in this country. But this particular part was inspired actually by this. From Götterdammerung, this kind of angular, very fanfare, brass-like theme. So I would think you gain a lot if you treat those 16th and those dotted rhythms in a much more rigid, kind of uncompromising way. So So 16th note should be really calculated.
Yeah.
So if you subdivide the longer note before that, you get exactly the kind of 16th you want. Otherwise, they sound a little bit overly relaxed. Di, yarada, yaradi, taradam, taradam. So if you go, use a little bit more bow. So it has to be the attack which is akin to brass attack more. Ta, ta, yapa, tapa, 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 ta, pa, pa, pa. Yeah. So first 16th note should be attacked with a little bit more precision and kind of explosive quality. Yeah. Try. Yeah. You see, when you play them, that's a very typical. You play down up, and then you play up down. They sound different. Yeah. Because at the frog you use finger stroke. Here it's fine because you play détaché, but then you go to the frog and you decide to save some electricity. And you have to be very active with your forearm as well. You're a bit too late with the first two 16th notes. Yeah, subdivide. You're gonna still make it on time if you use more bow, but they will be big, you see? 16th notes. Yeah, and bite the first 16th note of the two. That's much better. Now, avoid, you immediately waste a lot of bow, right away. One, two, three, four, 1, 2. Exactly. In other words, 16th are fast-moving notes, but they have to be heavier part of the design of the phrase. Yeah. Ta ta ta, pa pa pam. You have to attack them with the kind of attitude that you would reserve usually for strong beat. Ta ta ta, pa pa pam. Now these passages, if you look, of course, at the page, you see how painstakingly Sibelius designed those passages. He writes triplet, quadruplet. Then he writes quadruplet, quintuplet, quintuplet, sextuplet, right, and so forth. So he tells you at what rate you should speed up. Right? So you go, sorry, wrong bowings. It's still relatively calm. Not like in Paganini or Vinyavsky, right? We would play ta 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 tam. And there's a guy that stands next to you on the podium, yeah? He will consider that. Because if you just enjoy your virtuosity alone, yeah, it might create some problem with the teamwork, yeah? Can we try again from right from that? 2, 3. Oh, that's what's great. That was really great. What I suggest, to divide this crescendo into two parts, to make it very clear cut. First group of 4 notes, piano. Second, forte. So closer you place the crescendo moment, more explosive it will be. Not just, yeah, that's nice. That's a bit pedestrian. Yeah, so it comes as a flush at the end. Yeah, try it again. Yeah, even this, don't speed up. You have to trust Sibelius there. Yeah, it starts very heavy always. Yeah, it's a. He writes this opening. Yeah. Yeah, and don't be late because then we think, well, this is just an ta-ti. It's a ta-ti, pa-ti. There must be certain alertness about this. Yeah. Urgency. 2. Boom. Yeah, I would make a retake. I mean, it's too comfortable just to make it as a hook.
Yeah.
You understand? So when you go ta, and of course in orchestra you have this timpani tremolo, which doesn't exist second time. Ya da 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 da. To make a big retake there. Pay attention to lower notes which you play in a low register. They never heard in a concert halls, even with greatest players. Da. And make sure that double dotted rhythm after that is really very tight in both directions, down bow and up bow. Ti, yari, yaram. Yeah? Can you even accent those 16th notes? That would be really great. That would add more violence to it, yeah? Try it. Yeah, save more balls here. Yadi, yadi. Yeah, can I suggest something? Usually, during masterclass, it's difficult to offer different bowings and fingerings and so forth. But I hope you will. Can you do this? Yeah, it's a down, up. Exactly. By the way, there is a way to do this passage in the same string. Most editions feature this. Yeah, but I don't think it's necessary. 4. If you play 3, you go to 4. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Also, this is my take on it. I mean, it all sounds great. This harmonic is kind of silly. Maybe it's just a tribute to the style of that era, yeah? But I think it should be, A should be very strong. Because this, it's too, salon-like, Yeah. Yeah, try it. No, it's the first position. You probably forgot how to play in the first position already, right? Exactly. And it's very quick, yeah? Right. Yeah, now this part, tari, tari, actually, do you remember what it says there? It's not Finnish language, it's different language. There's a little word there. A piacere, it says. Which means, a piacere, right? You remember that? No? You don't? Okay, a piacere means at leisure in Italian, yeah? Piacere means pleasure, basically. So you have to enjoy it more, basically, yeah? So it's which is wonderful because it gives you license to take more time, not less. You don't have to rush anywhere, right? So you. Now, there's something interesting in the next phrase. Sibelius writes this funny reverse accents, right?
Yeah.
You remember?
I remember the second.
But you didn't do that, right? Okay, can we try it? Maybe from here. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. This is actually very fast, faster than you think. Tram. Tari, 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 tari. Usually people take tons of time, extra time here, but it's not what he wrote. Actually, you should take time after. Right? when he writes that funny Italian word, this is where you take more time. Yeah, try it. Right. Absolutely. Now this veloce I would make a little bit more substantial in terms of stroke. So what I would suggest, and that's my opinion, I don't have, email address of Sibelius. So to do it on the string. Yeah, it's like, waves of Baltic or Northern Sea, They're coming to you and coming back. Right. Now, in that cadenza, by the way, you performed it beautifully. It was perfect, violinistically speaking. Yes, he writes this funny, and I always was kind of disappointed. Why Sibelius wrote those wedges, carrots and a note? Really, to play it spiccato? By the way, there's a beautiful recording of Mr. Schering with London Symphony and Gennady Rozhestinsky, and he really plays it spiccato. But not all of us are, immortals. So I would suggest to play it a little bit more on the string. Yeah. Because you lose a lot of sound volume because of that. Yeah. Because then you kind of become slave of a stroke. And you missing and so forth. That like, can you play cadenza quickly? Yeah, from here. Yeah, from that. Yeah, sorry to stop you again. You realize that this is harmonic progression, right? And they're not the same. Yeah, this is dissonant chord, resolution. Yeah, so do not treat them the same way. Yeah, right. Right. Now, when you switch to the détaché stroke, you have to remember that the big part of détaché, if you want to produce a voluminous sound, is a pronation. I call it extreme pronation. When your elbow goes up and you lean on the side of your index finger. So it looks like this. Not just like this. See? Because when elbow is higher than your wrist, you can stream the weight of your arm into the string. Try it. Yeah. Can you play a little bit lower in the bow, closer to middle? Yeah. You understand, right? He changes the pattern on the top. Right. Take more time there, right? Exactly. Okay, very good. Now, let's jump. We're running out of time, like always. Don't we always? Second subject. Do you remember how Sibelius notates the beginning of the second subject? There's something very interesting about articulation there that still remains a mystery to me. He writes, dee, da, dee, ra, ra, dee, ra, dee. Do you remember how it's written? I mean, I'm not talking about notes themselves, but how he slurs, anything else? Do you remember? Any details? He writes dashes under the slur. Now, you can interpret it differently. Maybe he meant that notes should be separated. Maybe he meant parlando, which is a kind of forgotten today expressive device, which means you play legato, but left hand with vibrato, you articulate every note. It's like pronouncing syllables in a word in a kind of exaggerated fashion, yeah? But it cannot be all smoothed out like this, obviously. Now, when it comes back in a completely different rhythmic, rhythmic image, right? He writes it, notates it differently second time, right? In B major, right? That's different. That's legato. It's very smooth. But this time it's really, I think it's a speaking rather than singing. Second time it's a singing. Can we try it? Maybe, Irочка, right. Yeah, you can do that. I would rely more on left hand here than on the bow. Also remember, one of these days, if you didn't yet, you'll play it with the orchestra. You enter after clarinets. So the character of sound, its texture should be much denser, much darker, yeah? So I wouldn't make it so, I would reserve it for the B major version, yeah? So first is a clarinet plays, and slower, bow closer to the bridge. Yeah, can we try it? Yeah, it's a bit too, it's beautiful, but it's too gentle, it's too, it's Debussy-esque a little bit, yeah? So what I would suggest, you breathe before that. Oops. So he writes it as an upbeat. 1, 2, ba, bi, ra. You breathe before that. You make a big cue for yourself. Start from the string. Full sound. Yeah, but don't do this. Yeah. You went there, so stay there. And then allow your arm to lower itself naturally as you move to the tip of the bow. But don't drop elbow right away. Exactly. Yeah. So these syncopations for me, it's a little bit like in Mozart's Sinfonia Concertante and other of his work. Tam, pam, pam, because you don't have any thematic, melodic material there, yeah? You have piano playing. Ta-ra-ri-ram, yam-pa. It's a pulse. Okay? We're running out of time again. Okay, let me remember something else. In a cadenza, one of these days you should challenge yourself to do this. Reverse. Why? Because I know it's a controversial bowing, but what it allows you to do, first of all, you can sustain sound without risk of crushing it on upper B flat, and then you avoid this annoying tara 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 tara. You see it? Yeah, just try it once. It's fun. Remember that first bar you enter is twice as fast as the first bar of the cadenza. You remember that, right? Okay. Yeah, it's even faster, right? Ta. Tempo of the tutti is right. Tam pam bim taradam pam. Remember, pam pam ti yari ra ra ra. 2, 3, 4. There's a fourth beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Already. 2, 3, 4. Right, right. Make up beats. The point is to make up beats in up bows stronger than down bows. Yeah, to take the sense of bar lines and first beats out. Because this is the horrible thing about this passage. It's tara, 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 tara. It starts sounding very didactic and exercise-like. Yeah, you don't want that. There's one spot I would like to mention. Yeah, which is Everybody plays, for some reason, ta-ta-ram twice as slow. Can you try it? Same bow here. Change the bow speed abruptly, an upbeat. Yeah. So the idea here, you're interrupting yourself. Two different voices, two different personalities in you. Yeah, it's a long note. It's practically quarter note. It looks like short note because you see that chord written as eighth with dots, right? So it seems like ta-ram, ta-ta-ra, but it's actually a very long chord. Yeah. Do you remember what Sibelius writes there? In terms of hairpins and stuff, it's very interesting. Yeah, he writes, this is what he writes. He helps you. He thinks, well, why should the violinist worry and think too much, which is a big mistake. We should think more than we do. First time, first bar you shape towards the fourth beat. Second time to third. It's very clearly marked, actually. First edition, and even and I would also challenge you not to do this. I know it's very seductive and tempting, being a violinist. But it brings in this sentimental element, which is not typical for this music. I know. It all started with great Mr. Heifetz, of course, who had this incredible recording with Barberoli and London Philharmonic in 1930s. But basically, logic tells us that it's part of the same melodic line. Why should you play? Because of this slide? Just think about it for a moment, okay? I'm afraid we have to finish. Great playing. Yeah, thank you. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Anybody? Yes, please, ma'am. Me?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the mic
Mic is off. Can you hear me?
now when you're here, but when you were speaking to the student, I couldn't hear.
Really? Well, I'm sorry.
I couldn't.
Well, that's a technology for you. Now you can hear me, right? Okay. I guess when I speak to students, it becomes very discreet. Okay. Your question? Okay, sure. Agasha. Just one moment. Yes, teacher.
When you do the accents
Right.
in the middle of the string, not here, there.
Middle of the bow, you mean?
Yes, middle of
Yeah.
the bow.
Yes.
Are you doing that with the? Are you the accent? Is it more of a vibrato accent versus the?
There are different type of accents, yeah?
Yes.
The basic accent is produced by abrupt change of bow speed, yeah? So you go, da, right? You change the speed right away, yeah? So the change of the speed determines the power of the accent. But it's always speed. There's a little bit of extra pressure always involved because any object that moves on the surface tends to be destabilized when you suddenly move very fast. So you have to apply a little bit of a controlled speed for bow not to slip away, definitely. There's such thing as vibrato accents, but they're always somehow connected with bow as well. Vibrato is a very important element of the many accents, because when you vibrate one note more intensely than others, of course it comes out more emphasized. Yeah. And vibrato is a part of what we do with the bow anyway. So vibrato exists only because of what we do with the bow. It's connected very intimately with the bow speed. You move fast, you produce accent, so left hand reacts to it. Yeah. If you play something very smooth and soft, you don't know what I'm playing. Suddenly you make accent. Yeah? So your left hand reacts to that. That's all, yeah. But accent always has something to do. Now, there are different accents. When you see accent simply marked in your music, it doesn't mean you have to get violent with this, yeah? It could be just a singing vocal emphasis, yeah? When you see sforzando, this is something much stronger. There's also rinforzando, like in Sibelius Concerto, when you have, which is a general accent on a part of the phrase, on a gesture, yeah? So you have choice there of emphasizing each note separately, or to simply making very strong shape and so forth. So we have to always make difference between several of them. In Baroque music, very often when you have a slur, that also implies that you make an emphasis. Yeah? Because there was no such thing as written accents in those days. Nobody used that kind of notation, yeah? So it was all kind of included. Okay, Agasha, we have Tchaikovsky Concerto, right? По-английски можно говорить, да? Да? Все, замечательно. Я думаю, что экспозиция будет. Wonderful violin playing, really, and very intelligent playing also. You did a lot of things that I thought, will she do it? Yeah, you did. Really wonderful, musically, and in terms of phrasing and everything else. The ending, let's go backwards from the end, yeah? This place you kind of lost, can you still hear me now? Yeah, you lost interest a little bit, yeah? It was all clean. So treat it as one passage, one gesture, yeah? So, more excited about this, right? First of all, it's end of exposition, and we're all happy that it's eventually over. This is one of the most exhausting concertos, Tchaikovsky, right? And we wait for tutti like a God's blessing, really. It's like for water in the desert, really, yeah? So you have to get more excited about this. Here's a ta-ra-da-da-da-da, ta-ra-da-da-da. So don't sit on down bows constantly. Ta-ra-da-da-da-da, ta-ra-da-da-da-da, ta-ra-da-da-da-da. Can you try that? Also, maybe, why don't we start from this? Yeah, pay attention to up bows. Up bows come out a little bit weaker than down bows, and it sounds a little bit like this. Yeah, ta. You have to bite the string the way you bite a down bow. Yeah? Trrr, pam, bim, pam. Yeah? Much stronger. From G sharp, right? Right. Sorry to stop you. What dynamic does it say there? Huh? Piano. You should ignore it completely. Because when you play with orchestra, these chords are played by clarinet and bassoon and so forth, which are loud enough to cover you. So if you go, it's one of those dynamic markings that you should treat as a composer's comment on how it should sound. It will sound piano, but you should play it with full sound. You understand? So don't try to be soft. Right, as you go up to E string, it will make crescendo for you, yeah? But don't disappear, because there are a number of spots in this concerto where you have to be careful when you play with orchestra that it's easy not to be heard. Try it, right from there. Yeah. Yeah, can you show us just first notes of harmony? Slightly longer, first note. Yeah, not just ta-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, it sounds a bit mechanical, yeah? Yeah, you think, Agasha, you think you could vibrate them? I mean, it's not much of a melodic line or bass line, but it's worthwhile to bring out, yeah? So pay attention to up bows. They have to be a little bit bigger always than down bows, yeah, to make crescendo. Yeah? Because you play. Yeah, nothing happens there. Yeah, just try it once more. Yeah. So when you play, yeah, Agasha. Yes. Yeah, activate your elbow a little bit more. Yeah, because you play a little bit only with forearm. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to press, but you have to activate this part of the arm. Yeah, then you produce much more sound because you use weight. Yeah, it's more like watching birds. Yeah, fly. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, let's jump to the very beginning. What I suggest to treat those figures at the beginning. Like if you played Mozart, you know, so the quarter notes are not drawn out too much, but slightly tapered, which means you release sound. Instead of going, it's a, right, and then they appear in your phrase. Instead of, to me personally, it's a balletic gesture rather than operatic. It's not ta-ra-ra, ta-ra-ri, yeah? It's more graceful, yeah? Can we try from the very beginning, maybe? Yeah, slightly shorter. Yeah, because it's the same pattern that occurs later. Right? Go with slurs. It's very beautiful beginning. In many ways, it's really great because I didn't expect many things you did, but you did them in terms of phrasing and so forth. I would play first two notes in tempo. It has to be sudden. It's like suddenly curtain opens and you appear and says, "Oh, good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Agasha," whatever. But it's in tempo. Yes. Yeah, so you're almost doing it. So it's a... So phrase moves to not E, but to A, right? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Because the whole introduction, not introduction actually is the whole thing. But your Eingang, as they say in German, right? Your improvisation, that harmony. The whole phrase is based on that harmony, right? So you have to constantly reiterate A here. Like a little introduction. That's me, my name is, and whatever, right? And then actually Tchaikovsky Concerto starts. Yeah? Can we try it again, please? Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, main theme, just few comments because we're running out of time, don't we always? We get a yum, beam. Remember the accompaniment in the orchestra? Yum, bum, 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 yum, bum, bum. So the articulation of your notes should somehow correspond with that. The yum, beam. It's not the ra, dee, ra, 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 ram. Besides, of course, you remember that in orchestral tutti, first one, it appears as a very interesting polonaise in four. Yum, yum, so this character already has this here. It's not completely sleepy, beautiful, smooth, lyrical theme. It's a it is singing, but it has this definite character to it. Yeah, right. The yumpy. Yeah. Can I ask you something? Can you try it in the first position? I know it's less exciting violinistically, but this slide absorbs a lot of time. The yum. Yeah. Very simple. Just try it. Yeah, especially, very good. But second beat is very important. The yum, and start from the string here, yeah? The yum. Note. Yeah. Also, do not try to be so impressionistic with the sound. It's a very much earthy kind of sound, yeah? Very dense. The yum, beam, yeah? Yeah, can you avoid this? Just go for the shape. It leads into the next bar, right? Yeah, so yeah, whatever parts of the theme you should sing, you should really sing. And singing is always legato. That's what we use for singing. Now, there are a lot of great things you did. Second subject. I think I understand how you want to phrase it. But what happens is you lose sound on this note. That's what you're doing. Why don't you save bomb? Yeah, because I think you're shaping it towards the third beat of the bar, right? Can you play ta da dee da da dee? One bar before that. Yeah. Can you make triplets a little bit lazy? That was much better. Yeah. Triplets here are much slower than you think. Because they're always juxtaposed against different rhythmic patterns in the orchestra. First, and then when theme comes back, orchestra has so you have to stick to those triplets no matter what, because it creates this beautiful, rhythmic contradiction. Yeah, try it again. Beautiful. I would ask you, for now at least, avoid this. It's a beautiful singing line. Suddenly you're whistling one note instead of singing it. Ta-ra-ra, ta-ra-dee-ra. Vibrate. Very good. And last comment. These passages, I mean, it's not that important, not a matter of life and death, of course, but you play like everybody does. If you look carefully, Tchaikovsky wrote it very interestingly, these passages. So it takes more time, and passage starts slower because he writes tam taradara ram pam pam. Yeah. So eighth, pap pap pam. Which is good news, I hope, because it gives you more time to actually control the finger action and everything else. Okay? Beautiful playing. Thank you so much. We have to finish. Замечательно играете. Очень приятно. Everything comes to an end. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You convinced me with every single note you played. And I wanted to ask, I realized that the violin is an integral part of your body. So how you make it? Is it hours of practicing, or it's a mental, psychological, emotional matter?
Thank you, sir. First of all, I appreciate your comment because this is I perceive it as a compliment also, because this is what I wanted to achieve most of my violinistic life. And I still think there's a space to improve there. Yeah, I came to believe that violin should be part of your body, really, and that's the difference between violin, or by the way, any woodwind instrument and some brass instruments as well, except piano, organ, perhaps, right, which are stationary instruments, which is very different. They're there, you cannot really move them, you cannot change their position while you play. You play on them. Whereas violin should really become part of your body, which means at any given point you can change its position. Yeah, it becomes another limb, yeah, of you. If you move to upper side of the fingerboard, violin changes position. You want to make more space here in order to reach for higher positions, you can move your violin to the left. Sometimes there are situations when you go, so violin moves to the right side, yeah. But it's always some kind of a physical coordination. But if violin is fixed artificially in the same position, which sometimes, and most of the time, shoulder rests do, unfortunately, like rigid types especially. That's why I'm basically big opponent of using, how shall I say? I wanted to say enemy, but then I changed the wording, yeah, of using shoulder rests, because I believe that any kind of support, this is what I'm using, it's a pad that allows for a basic support of the instrument, and yet it allows me to change the position of the instrument for a variety of different positions. So this is very important, and I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. I think this is what's important. If you go on YouTube and watch most of great violinists of the past, most of those videos in black and white, some of them color, yeah, you see how free they are with the instruments. Yeah, it's never gets stuck. They never work their way around the violin. And even with cellists, cello is a kind of a more stationary instrument because it's fixed with end pin, but still you can see with great masters of that instrument how angle of the instrument changes depending on where you have to get on a fingerboard. Definitely, yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
Hey, you're taught quite a lot at Indiana and now at CIM, I believe?
Now I'm at CIM, yeah.
From your experience, what, in the current music conservatory curriculum, from what you've seen in various schools, what would you like to see more of?
In schools?
Yeah, in conservatories or music.
In conservatories, I would like to see, and this is applied to universities or conservatories or to any music schools in the world today, it's more complete education in terms of knowledge of what you're doing in a historic perspective. Because in today's world, we live in a funny time when people have such practically unlimited access to information, but people seem to have, especially young people, I know I'm generalizing, and of course you give any number of specific cases when it's not the case. Yeah, the lack of interest in an overall contextual knowledge of the instrument. I mean, we take a lot of things for granted today. We play our instruments, we think we know a lot, but it took centuries, literally, few centuries to develop certain concept and appreciate, and there's also recordings, of course, that gives us very unique perspective of how it all came about. I found, for example, that string players, especially violinists, are at least interested among all other musicians in a history and background of the instruments and how violin playing even came about and so forth. So many young people who are confronted with archive recordings, they get turned off by this because it has this hissing sound and so forth. But you learn from that much more. So they say, oh, it's out of tune. Oh, this guy is sliding and so forth. Yes. But you have to understand also the context. And also, it gives you direct access to different styles of playing. I always said, and I think it was a couple of years ago here, when I made a comment that today we seem to know more about Baroque playing, which of course it's also limited. Yeah, we have kind of a generic view of that. Or classical period, then of Romantic era, which is chronologically closer to us. Because many young people, ignore those fantastic documents that are available to us. All great violinists, starting from recordings of Joachim and Sarasate, both men made their recordings very much past their prime, of course. And you can criticize them for bad intonation, for roughness of sound and so forth, but it gives you such fantastic cues into how they phrased what their musical idea was. Joachim playing Brahms' Hungarian dances in this very poor, in engineering terms, recording. It gives you such phenomenal insight. It's like a time machine, I think. Sarasate playing his pieces. Obviously, I'm sure his playing was or could be more exciting during his younger years, but he was not Sarasate for nothing, obviously. If, he was known as one of the legendary performers of Mendelssohn Concerto. Saint-Saëns wrote for him Introduction Rondo Capriccioso on his third concerto. Bruch first concerto. It just didn't happen for nothing. Of course, overall, general level of playing was much lower, but there were personalities which, unfortunately, today, most of the time are missing. Yeah. So I think this integral way of approaching, studying history of the instrument, I think this is what I would like to see more. And I would like to see programs at schools that dedicate themselves to studying of archive recordings, history of performance, and so forth. Not necessarily Baroque and classical, but also Romantic era, because I think that's the blind spot. Because we think we are romantics, but we're not. Because we lost a lot of that tradition today. Because everything becomes streamlined and so forth, very precise. Today, many young people play phenomenally the instruments, really. Intonation, quality of sound, consistency. They win competitions one after the other, but something else is missing. Because when you try to please everybody, yeah, you lose something very essential in the process. Yeah, this is what I would like to see. Yeah, thank you so much.